Welcome to Gleaning and Gathering. I'm your host, Eric Heimlich, and today I'd like to talk to you about some of the things that are going on in my life and the lessons that I'm learning. This past week, our family was able to get away for some time together in Virginia, and it was just an amazing time. I'm very thankful for friend Dr. Mark Smith, who made his space available there. Their growth and encouragement ministry is something that has helped hundreds of leaders over the years, and we were the recipients of their kindness this past week. It's a beautiful place set on a ridge there in Virginia, overlooking beautiful hills and a farm that's off there in the distance, and it's just an amazing spot to be able to sit out on that deck and drink coffee in the morning. And I just really enjoyed our time there. We played games as a family. We spent time hiking together. We hiked a mountain. There was more than a 4-mile hike. It was a very challenging hike, but it was so much fun to be together. And then we also went e-biking one day. Put in about, between 12 and 13 miles on e-bikes. We'd never done that before, but some of our friends had those, and so we were able to borrow those and use those for the afternoon. We had a lovely time together at a place called the Depot, and so we had supper together with David Spivey's family and some other friends there in Virginia. And it was just the whole time I felt like was a blend of purposeful rest, relaxation, and also connection. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about today. You know, we live in a world that is awash in content. I think there are over 4 million podcasts last time I checked. Today, you can find content on nearly everything that you want. It doesn't really matter what you're into. If you go out there and look, you're going to find someone who's producing something on it. Whether it's how to change the spark plugs in a 1998 Nissan or how to make something out of pop bottle caps, you're going to find somebody out there who's producing content. But the thing that is missing today is connection. And you know, people are not just brains on legs. I heard that in a recent podcast, and I can't remember who said it, but I love that phrase because it's so true. We are not just brains on legs. We crave connection. And what people need more today than probably ever before is connection. You know, we're overwhelmed with all kinds of just shallow media and stuff. You can jump onto social media and find information about everything. You know, JFK's files just dropped yesterday, and so everybody's talking about that. What does that even have to do with my life? What does that have to do with where I'm at, but our desire to know keeps us looking for all kinds of things. And so we're awash in content. But what we're desperately needing more than ever before is connection. I was texting back and forth with a young leader this past week, and I just had him on my mind, and so I reached out to him. And he responded to me with a very long text communicating the challenges that he was going through. He's a young pastor, and he's dealing with the 5th adulterous situation in his church in the past couple years. And he's trying to walk that road, and he's not alone. There are a lot of church leaders right now that are dealing with really, really heavy stuff. And as I talk with them, the thing that I hear more than anything else is this need for somebody to be there for them. You know, who does the doctor go to when he gets sick? And many times for pastors, they find themselves incredibly alone. And I think ministry leaders in general have been put on this separate pedestal, and many of them have been told, they've been trained, you need to keep yourself separate from your congregation. You are the leader. You are the shepherd, not one of the sheep. And so you need to be over here in a separate category And I think that's been incredibly destructive. It's been destructive to the church because there's a lot of people that could learn from our vulnerability, from the challenges that we're facing, more than they could even learn from our strengths. But I think it's also true that we desperately need the connection to our local place and to our local people. And then I think we also need a connection to someone who's further down the road than we are, who has walked the road that we're walking and may be able to give us perspective. I had a wonderful conversation yesterday with an older, very wise Christian lady who has been instrumental in my own life over the past several decades, but has also been instrumental in the lives of many other young women, young married couples. She has been able to speak into their lives in a very important way. And I was so thankful for the ability that I had to be able to talk with her and get perspective about a situation that I was dealing with. An area that I felt completely out of my depth. And I had some discernment on the situation, but I wasn't entirely sure. And having the connection to her to be able to call her up and say, this is what I'm seeing. But what do you think? Does this match with your experience and what you are seeing as well? A huge blessing. And I think that every single leader needs a Paul, they need a Barnabas, and they need a Timothy. You need somebody who's pouring into your life, somebody who's helping you along the journey, who's helping you to understand these are the next things that you're going to be facing. They've walked that road. They're a little further down that journey than you are. And they're able to help give you perspective. I also think that we need those Barnabas relationships in our life. And one of those for me has been David Spivey. It's been a little over 2 years now. I guess almost 2 years. Since we began meeting once a week by phone, in person when we're in the same area, but mostly by phone. Every Thursday morning, 7 o'clock, on the phone, talking with my friend, sharing the things that we're going through, praying with each other. There's not really an agenda. We're just together. But invariably out of those conversations, there are ideas, there are opportunities, there are things that end up bubbling up out of that. And things that God uses my friend to challenge me in, or to help me to think in different ways about things. And so I think all of us need those kind of Barnabas relationships in our life. People that are walking alongside. They're maybe in the same season of life, but people that are helping to make us better. Those iron on iron kinds of relationships. And then I also think that every one of us needs someone that we're pouring into actively. I think it's really important that we have someone that we're passing it on to, that we're paying it forward. There have been so many leaders that have poured into my life across the years, and I am deeply, deeply grateful. But I feel the debt. And I know that I have a responsibility to pay that forward to other leaders. There have been others that have been there for me, and now I want to be there for them. I was just sitting with another young leader. We went out to breakfast, and we spent a couple of really delightful hours just talking about all kinds of things. He had reached out to me and said, "Do you ever mentor people?" And I said that yes, I do, but I want to understand more of what you're really wanting. And so we got together for breakfast, and it was a delightful time. I walked away from that conversation encouraged, edified. I hope he did as well. But who are those people in your life? Because wherever you're at, you don't have to be in your 40s to be able to have someone that you are pouring into, that you are helping along on the journey. There's someone right now that would be so blessed by you taking time to speak into their life. Who is that? Who is that for you? I want to encourage you to begin to develop a connection in these 3 areas in particular. And I'm not talking about like necessarily numerous connections, but I'm talking about who is the Paul in your life? Who's that person that's on a regular basis speaking truth into your life from a perspective of a mentor? I'm deeply grateful for my mentor, Paul Bowen, 86 years old, lost his wife about 6 years ago, lives alone, but he pastored for nearly 50 years. And as I sat with him during my Sabbath each week on Friday, it is such a blessing to be able to pour out my heart and to know that everything that I'm sharing there is completely safe with him. He cares about me. He's walked that road before as a pastor. And as I vet opportunities with him and talk about what God's teaching me and listen to him, there are stories that inevitably bubble up. You know, when you're 86 years old, a lot of times you tell the same stories again and again. And he does. And I don't stop him. I'm glad to hear those stories. Those are core memories for him. Those are important things, especially the ones that he's repeating. And as I take time with him, I'm edified. I'm built up. I'm encouraged. Who is that in your life? Do you have a mentor? Do you have someone who is a Paul for you? I think every leader needs that. And I think far more important than reading one more book or finding one more article or getting one more piece of content is getting a connection to a mentor who can help you navigate the season of life that you're in and the challenges that you're facing. You need it. And I know one of the challenges that I hear many times, yeah, but where do you find a mentor? Where are the mentors? Well, you're going to probably have to go looking. It's like the old adage, if you want something done, find a busy person. If somebody's available and they don't have anything going on, then chances are you really don't want that person working in your project. But if you find a busy person, there's a good chance that they're going to get your work done too. Because they're the kind of people who get things done, and that's the reason that they're busy. And with a mentor, you may have to find someone that doesn't really have time. But when you approach them and you lay out, I really would like you to provide this input in my life. Maybe that's a weekly basis, monthly, quarterly, whatever that may look like. But lay that out and make it clear what you're asking them. I want you to speak truth into my life. I want to give you the red pen to the story of my life, and you can make the corrections that you see that are needed. I want you to tell me the truth. And I want to encourage you to develop those Barnabas kinds of relationships. Those people who are in the same season, walking alongside of you. They're in the battle with you, but they've got your back. The kind of people that are sons of encouragement. You know, Barnabas' name was not Barnabas. It was Joseph. But they called him Barnabas because he was the son of encouragement. That's how he lived, and that's what he became known as. And I think we need those kinds of people in our life. And then we need someone that we're pouring into. Again, connection, I think, is what we need to be looking for today, not just more content. I'm not against content. Obviously, I'm creating some. You're listening to it now. I get that. I listen to podcasts. I read books. I'm trying to grow my mind and develop. And I found some great, what I would call literary mentors. People that I've never met and probably never will meet, but I've read most of what they've written and I've been shaped greatly by it. And so I think there is value in that. I'm not diminishing that. But I think that our world today is awash in content. And what we're lacking more than ever before is real connection. And I think part of it is that there's this pseudo connection. We've got 5,000 Facebook friends, so of course we've got friends. We've got how many ever followers on Instagram, so of course we've got people that we know, that we're connected to. We're some of the most connected people there ever were, right? But are we? Again, that sort of pseudo connection. Yeah, I know just enough about what's going on in my friend's life that I don't pick up the phone and call. I saw his Facebook status, and so, yeah, I know what's going on. But do I? Because behind that Facebook status, is he really sharing that he and his wife and their marriage are on the rocks and he's not quite sure if they're going to make it? Like, is he sharing that? No, he's not. And in a real phone conversation or a lunch together, you're going to find out more about what's really going on in his heart and in his soul than if you stalked him on Facebook for the next month. And so I want to encourage you, don't just settle for pseudo connection. Really connect with people. And frankly, that's not scalable. You can't have that kind of connection with 500 Facebook friends. You can only have that connection with a few. And so I want to encourage you to be prayerful in making those kinds of connections. But then, your friend and your father's friend forsake thou not, the scripture says. I think there's an importance to loyalty and to caring for those relationships. But some of what's on my mind today. I'm very thankful for the friends that God has given me and the connections that He is supernaturally, providentially making in my life. And I want to encourage you today to get connected. For Cleaning and Gathering, God bless.